Hey everybody, welcome to the Homestead. So today what we're going to be doing is going to show you how to flesh out a hide. It's fall, it's winter. This is the time of year where you're going to be processing a lot of your animals, chickens, your sheep that we have. We have sheep and chickens, and so we've been butchering our chickens and putting that meat up for the winter. And we're also, we butchered a sheep the other day, and that sheep was also canned and put into our pantry for meat that we can use later on. And then also deer processing. It's deer season, and so we're going to be processing a lot of deer. Now, when we harvest our animals, whether the ones that we harvest from the land or ones that we've raised ourselves, we're gonna try to utilize those animals to the best of our ability and utilize as much of that animal as possible for uses and needs that we have. One of those needs, obviously, is meat, but also we try to keep the hides of most of the animals that we harvest, especially our sheep. A good sheep fleece is worth some money, and so we can take these and either use them for things that we want to use it for, or we can sell that, put it on the market, and sell it for a price. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to get this sheep fleece prepared and ready for tanning, and we're going to walk you through that process as well. We're going to tan this hide, and we're going to flesh the hide today, and we're going to walk you through that entire process in a couple of videos to show you how we do it. And so this is something that we have to do in the wintertime. It's just another process, another chore that we have to do on the homestead. So I'm going to share that with you today. Stick around. And I use what's called a Blue English fleshing system. Now I've done a lot of fleshing in the past. I was trapping for a while, did beaver and raccoon and things like that. And I used a different fleshing beam style that actually pushes down from you. You're bending over a lot, and it's just not a very comfortable fleshing system. This fleshing system is a lot more manageable, it's a lot more easier on your back, and it's a little more pain-free. And I also like the fact that this Blue English fleshing knife, that it's called a Blue English fleshing system knife, allows you to just kind of scrape and slide off the flesh of the pelt in a very nice motion, and you're pushing down, which is a lot easier on your body. You don't have to bend over a fleshing beam like some people do. And so I moved over to this a number of years ago. I've used it quite a bit on some deer hides and other things, and I immensely enjoy this a lot better than some of the old fleshing beams that are out there. And so that's what we're going to show you today. We're going to show you how we do it. Here's our knife. This is a knife that we use to slice off the flesh off the pelt. And then we use another knife. I'll show you. This is called the pusher. At least that's what I call it. Some people call it a pusher. Maybe there's other names for it. It basically allows you to push some of the flesh down off of the pelt. And so it's you can use either one. Both, depending on what kind of flesh you're encountering on the pelt, you use one or the other of the two blades that I have. This really isn't so much of a blade. It does have kind of a sharp edge to it, but it's more for pushing the flesh down off the pelt, whereas the other one slices the flesh off of the pelt. And so I'm going to walk you through the process, the whole process on how we do this. Now, it's really cold out here today. It's about, last time I looked at the temperature, it was like 27 degrees. You really want to wait for a cold day to begin your fleshing, because working with a hide in warmer weather is just not, it's just harder to manage. The fat becomes oily and gets everywhere. It's very greasy. On a day like today where it's below freezing, you can come out here and work on this flesh. It's very manageable. It's very easy. The fat doesn't get all over everything. And it's just a lot more of a easy, simpler process. Now, just to let you know, it takes a lot of practice to get used to this. If you're interested in doing something like this, try to understand you're probably going to ruin your first few pelts that you actually work on. But each one of them is going to give you good practice. So it's just a matter of time and a matter of practice to get really good at this and slice it off and do it really fast. And at the end of the day, your pelts can be judged by people on the fur market and places like that where these things are sold and bought. And I think my pelts, for the most part, are pretty good. I would say about average. And I've been doing this for a number of years. But there are some people out there who are really good at this, and they can do this very fast and and produce very good quality pelts. So if you're interested in something like this, understand that it takes some practice. You're going to need to understand that your first few pelts are probably not going to turn out so great. And so it just comes with the quality just comes with time and learning how to use a system like this, or any system for that matter. Basically, what we're going to start doing is I've got this thing pressed up against in between the board there, and I'm just going to start slicing off some of the flesh here. And if you look here, This white right here, this is the leather. That's the leather of the pelt. And that's what you want to get throughout the entire pelt that you see here. And so it's just a matter of time working this off and slicing it off little by little and getting a feel. And you're just going to go through this entire pelt, over the entire pelt, little by little, and get it to where you have this nice white here. And that white is the leather. That's what you want. And so it's just a matter of going through and getting it all to look like that. Now, in a few places around the pelt, you're going to need to trim out some places, trim out some areas, especially around the neck or the rear end area. You're going to need to trim out some of the stuff to just make it look a little more even and a little more uniform. And so that's what I'm doing now. It's also good to have a couple of tools, a couple of different blades that you can use to touch up some areas. It's going to be hard to get to all the areas perfectly with that big of a blade, and so I use a couple of different blades to either do trimming or to touch up different areas. Okay, so that's done. We basically have an entire fleece that's completely clean, no flesh, no fat, or very little fat remains, and this is ready to be it's basically trimmed, basically ready now to be tacked up and dried. And once it's dried, then we can go ahead and start the tanning process. And we're going to do all of our tanning here, right here on the homestead. That's going to be in a next upcoming video, so you're going to have to stay tuned for part 2 on processing hides. But the fleece needs to be clean. It's got some debris in it from when the sheep was still alive. There's some burrs here and there. There's some leaves. There's a little bit of blood stain. But all of that can be washed and cleaned out. And when it's all said and done, when it's all tanned and processed, it'll be nice, white, soft fleece. So there you go. That is a processed, finished hide, all done and skinned out, ready to go to tanning as our next step. And we're going to get this thing cleaned, and I'm going to take you over and show you how we're going to hang it up. Okay, our next step is to go ahead and get this fleece mounted on some plywood, and then that plywood will hang and allow this fleece to dry for anywhere from 3 to 5 days. And what we're going to do is we're going to hang this up so it's somewhere in the sun, and the sun can directly hit it, for 3 to 5 days. Doesn't matter how cold it is. Really, as long as the sun's hitting it, it has a time to dry out a little bit. And then once it's dry, then we'll start the tanning process. If you enjoyed this video, please click the thumbs up button below the video. It really makes creating these videos worthwhile. If you want to make sure to never miss a new video, be sure to click the subscribe button. Now you can get your homesteading questions answered. Visit us at our contact page on anamericanhomestead.com and send us your questions. Maybe we'll pick your question for a future video or article on our website.